The sky was bright, and the tree trunks were bare. Guio and Ziz looked into the distance, at an impossibly long road. Nadia remained staring, motionless. A crack appeared, and Duo called out, "Return to our sanctuary." Bihiran struck the crack, revealing a different space. Guio paused when he heard Nadia speak. Ziz also paid attention as Nadia said, "They called him a lowly creature, they deceived themselves, believing they were gods, but the child before me, he is the true god." She hugged herself. "Before I met him, I had no memories, tell me." Guio smirked, confirming it was the young Ananta. "Everything is born from cause and effect, when cause and effect cease, they vanish." He offered a strange smile, his eyes shining brightly, such is fate. He looked forward to the day they would meet again. Nadia frowned at his words. Lagertha Einharjar was bathing in the water, her fiery red hair spread across the edge of the bath. Mare and Skald arrived to report that Lord Bernhard had returned from the southern monitoring outpost. She abruptly stood up. "It's been a long time since I heard such good news." As she stepped forward, she said, "Luckily, if it were bad news, I wouldn't know what to do." Mare draped a robe around Lagertha. Skald continued, "According to the reports, a manifestation and 2 others accompanied him." Lagertha asked if the manifestation had wings. Mare replied, "It's best your highness see and judge for yourself." She smiled contentedly. At a large castle on a mountain, Bernhard and his entourage entered. He was with Nadia, no different from Ananta. He claimed to have a deep-seated hatred for the winged manifestation and invited them to the organization's headquarters. Ostensibly, it was to fight together, but clearly, what he wanted was Ananta's power. And after the battle, the rabbit girl vanished without a trace. Nadia walked with a determined face. She could have gone elsewhere, but somehow, she chose the northern lands to meet someone. That person was Lagertha. In the room, everyone was present, standing in a neat line. Rupa looked towards the people moving. Tarkan stood arms crossed, eyes closed. Announcement, Her Imperial Majesty has arrived. Lagertha entered with Mare and Skald. Nadia stood watching, frowning thoughtfully. That was Princess Munguk Valkyria, of the Warrior Kingdom, a militia with a grudge against the winged manifestation. Lagertha sat on her throne, a refreshing smile showcasing her powerful image. Bernhard bowed respectfully, greeting Lagertha, who returned the greeting and congratulated him. She asked him to recount the results of his expedition. According to the initial plan, to reach the cafe's temple, they eliminated a group of gladiators and disguised themselves as them. There were some unexpected events, but ultimately, he infiltrated the temple. There, he met the winged manifestation, Guio. Everyone looked up upon hearing his name. Lagertha continued to inquire about the events. Bernhard calmly recounted how he immediately engaged Guio in battle, but shamefully, he was defeated. Upon hearing this, she frowned and reprimanded, "So you returned empty-handed, in such disgrace." He felt uncomfortable. Victory and defeat are part of a warrior's life, no matter how many times I lose. One day, I will personally end him. She chuckled at his attitude. Then she laughed heartily. "That's the Bernhard I know." Now Lagertha noticed the person beside him. Nadia bowed. He introduced her as the manifestation of nature, part of a group hunting the winged manifestation. Bernhard respectfully told Lagertha that Nadia was a new ally, an addition to Leviathan. Thanks to her help during the expedition, he was able to bring people here to meet His Highness. She asked where the rest were. Mare then spoke up and called him human, but it was just a barbarian man with a normal young girl. She offered to cooperate in return for their care and protection. The girl's health is much better now, so she'll soon be sent to a foster family. The savage man is being treated at a medical facility. His condition has improved, but he's still in serious condition, in a deep coma and unresponsive. Mare suggested she could bring him along if she wanted to use force, but she refused. Lagertha approached Nadia and greeted her. Lagertha stepped closer and extended her hand. Nadia took her hand, bowed politely, and thanked Your Highness for the warm welcome. But that wasn't all. Lagertha then pressed Nadia for her reasons for allying with Leviathan. Lagertha suspected she was a spy. Nadia replied quickly she wanted to compromise about the branch that had become one with her. She wanted to know all the information Leviathan held about it. Someone called Lagertha's name. Both women turned to look. Rupa, feeling angry, yelled, "Why should we listen to her?" As soon as she entered, Rupa smelled the stench from the incarnation of wings. Then, pointing at Nadia, she asked if the incarnation of wings had given her the branch. Bernhard also glanced at her. Lagertha, curious, turned to ask her again. Nadia touched her chest. Rupa said, she's not wrong, since encountering him, the branch has been resonating with her. But the fact that it became one with her was also clear proof that she had no information at all. Lagertha turned to Bernhard and asked if he'd told Nadia about the branch. He replied that he hadn't revealed any information without permission. If Nadia was the person the incarnation of Wings was looking for, this was clearly a golden opportunity for them. While she was speaking, someone called out, "Your Highness." Lagertha angrily shouted, "What is it?" Interrupting like this. The person apologized for interrupting but said it was urgent. Currently, in the residential area, a massacre is taking place. At that moment, the fiery red image of Azi Dahaka appeared. Remembering the time it invaded his body, Ananta felt like he wasn't himself anymore. His mind was losing its clarity. It raised its head and growled. A whole area was engulfed in flames. It cautiously walked forward, step by step. It stamped its foot on the ground. Then it flew up. Then, using all its speed, it dashed forward. Then it stopped in a high open space and roared to the heavens. Ananta's eyes widened as he saw. Before him, the image of the village, completely burned to ashes by fire. Everything, from the people to the huts, was gone. He broke free and stepped out. He dragged his damaged body, walking step by step. The image of his beautiful, gentle sister appeared, smiling, along with her voice, "Ananta, be careful on your way." His beautiful sister, his mind was losing its clarity. X was completely burned. Ananta stared at the burned body, and let out a cry. Then he embraced his sister's body, trembling. He sobbed uncontrollably, his heart aching, tears of blood streaming from his eyes, as he screamed in despair. Inside him, only hatred remained. He would definitely kill Guio. "With your own hands." Ananta opened his teary eyes slightly. He sat up, not knowing where he was. A cute little girl was sitting under the bed, looking at him. He wondered who she was. Suddenly, he paused. Was this girl a god? Ananta pushed himself up, preparing to sit. No time to think. His face contorted with rage. He had to find Guio immediately. Suddenly, his relative coughed. The little girl looked up and asked him if he was okay. He gasped, choking. His vision began to blur. Then he collapsed, the price of abusing the curse's power. The little girl quickly ran outside. He frowned, looking ahead. The city was crowded, everyone looking in the other direction. There, Ananta was walking, his body wounded. He looked around. Where was this? A vast space, no sky, an underground city. Someone told him to stop. He looked suspicious and wasn't a resident. They pointed their spears at him, demanding surrender or force. He scoffed and challenged them. Then a man stepped forward, scratching his head and asking if anyone had seen his child. Ananta looked at the symbol on the man's hand. He remembered a symbol. It would help him find the kin of the Wings. Those on his side would surely have this symbol. Ananta reached out and touched the man. Suddenly, a knife appeared before his eyes. The man swung the knife at Ananta. His eyes flashed. He didn't like being touched from behind. Ananta retaliated with a punch. The man felt his strength. He quickly retreated. "You won't beat me today," he said. He gave a menacing wink. He looked ready to die. His body blazed with red fire. How could he have such an aura? Ananta asked about the symbol on the man's right hand. He glared, clenching his fists, asking about his connection to the kin of the Wings. But he said nothing, grabbed his knife, and charged. Ananta quickly dodged, albeit a little abruptly. He swung his knife, attacking relentlessly, but Ananta dodged every blow. Ananta was pressed against the wall, facing him. The man swung his sword, saying, "If you want something, take it yourself." He swung his sword, using the claw of the silent serpent. Owl swung his sword, smoke billowed. The smoke cleared, and Owl froze. When he saw Ananta with two huge, glowing red arms, Ananta glared at Owl with murderous intent. Owl smirked. "What are those arms?" A soldier screamed, "Tell the queen, request urgent reinforcements." Ananta's eyes flashed. He rushed straight towards the owl and used his giant clawed arm to repeatedly attack the owl at terrible speed. Owl, agile and quick, dodged Ananta's attacks, observing him while devising a plan. A direct confrontation with a sword wouldn't be enough. However, he wasn't in his best condition from the start. After a series of unsuccessful attacks, Ananta stopped. Suddenly, he collapsed, appearing to be in pain. Owl, as if waiting for this moment, seized the opportunity. He lunged forward, plunging his sword through Ananta. A growl emanated from Ananta. His face began to change. It transformed into the face of a monstrous beast. Owl quickly withdrew his sword and retreated. Ananta roared, and his entire body transformed into a massive, ferocious beast. Owl crouched down, preparing to draw his sword and fight. He suddenly startled, realizing that he had just felt fear. Suddenly, a sound came from behind. Owl retreated. Lagertha charged from behind. She swung her sword, striking the beast's head. Nadia quickly intervened, pleading, "Wait, he's not the enemy, don't kill him." Lagertha, her expression stern, coldly replied, "If he harms anyone under my protection, regardless of who they are, I will not spare his life. Ugly monster, I'll end you now." Ananta, in his monstrous form, suddenly began to claw and tear at himself. The sight was horrifying. The soldiers stared in disbelief, watching as he seemingly strangled himself. The beast collapsed to the ground. Nadia anxiously watched Ananta. Lagertha approached, seeing that the beast had transformed back into Ananta. She was astonished. What in the world? Lagertha and 4 others sat around a round table in the room. Skald, standing beside her, reported, "By your order, the barbarian soldiers have been imprisoned in the dungeon, and the embodiment of nature is under the royal army's surveillance, awaiting your command. We monitored their every move, yet chaos still erupted." Mare, standing beside, added, "Rumors have spread throughout the fortress, it was only a matter of time." Lagertha spoke, "I presume everyone is aware of the situation. We will now begin the leadership meeting. The main topic is the future arrangements for the man named Ananta. The final decision will be announced after we've heard everyone's input." Rupa, propping her chin on her hand, said, "How much longer do you intend to keep such a dangerous man in the fortress? There's no need for discussion, eliminate him." Owl chuckled, "Why the tension, Rupa? He's interesting, let's use him to our advantage." Tarkan crossed his arms over his chest and frowned. "Shut up, Owl, I'm not interested." Lagertha asked Bernhard, "Do you know anything about him?" Bernhard politely replied, "Yes, my lady." Rupa clenched her fist, slamming it on the table. "Are you joking? You brought a monster into the fortress without warning. What were you thinking, Bernhard?" Bernhard's face darkened. His very presence caused a disturbance in the fortress. "Regardless of what anyone says, I insisted on bringing him here. Queen Lagertha, I didn't expect his power to be so unstable and terrifying, but it's true that he has a connection with the embodiment of wings. If we can harness that power, he would be an invincible weapon. I urge you to consider allowing him to join the Leviathan forces." Rupa slammed the table, standing abruptly. "Lagertha, are you going to listen to that nonsense? Owl, you fought him, why didn't you just properly fight and kill him?" Owl, sitting with his legs crossed and chin propped on his hand, said, "Attacking first and now saying this is a bit cheeky, but Bernhard is right, this guy will be useful to us. If we had pushed ourselves to the limit back then, both of us would have been crippled." Rupa's eyes widened in surprise. Lagertha spoke. "Come forward, messenger with rabbit feet." Whitefoot walked over and smiled brightly at the lovely girl with outstanding rabbit feet. Following the king's summons, he arrived at the place where Ananta was imprisoned. Blackfoot taunted him, "So, Ananta, how are you? I thought you'd run off, but it seems my worries were unfounded." But he looked at me with that look, and I was completely charmed. Whitefoot took off her hat, smiling brightly as she greeted everyone. "Your Majesty, esteemed heroes, this humble messenger greets you." Rupa, seeing a stranger, questioned relentlessly, "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Owl looked towards Whitefoot and saw something lurking behind her. Raclette poked her head out. Owl laughed cheerfully, extending a hand to greet her as she ran towards him. Just a moment's inattention, and this troublesome little girl disappears. Bernhard asked about Whitefoot. Queen Lagertha replied, "No need for alarm, she possesses spatial manipulation abilities. She's a high-ranking member of a keen organization called Rabbit's Foot. Before you return, they made a deal with me." She recounted Whitefoot's words. "She said you had no interest in the ability to eliminate the winged manifestation. Initially, I considered it a half-hearted gamble, but it became clear she had anticipated everything from the start." Saying this, she looked at Whitefoot. "That offer is tempting. Tell me, what are your conditions?" Whitefoot laughed, clapping her hands. "Indeed, you're perceptive. I want Rabbit's Foot and Lav to form a lasting alliance. In return, Rabbit's Foot will give its all to defeat the winged manifestation and hand over the manifestation of vengeance to you. Trash information, a loud voice boomed, making Whitefoot jump. Everyone turned to the source of the voice, Ananta. He criticized Whitefoot. You caused all this chaos and dare to use such slick words. I don't need any pact or compromise. Ruby lay nestled in Rocklet's arms. Hearing Ananta's voice, she bolted towards him. She climbed onto him. He proudly pointed at himself. I am the one who will end the winged manifestation. Rupa flared, her hands transforming into claws. That criminal should stay in prison. Give me the order, Lagertha. I'll take care of him right now. Lagertha didn't seem hurried. Calm down, Rupa. I want to know everything. Her gaze meticulously observed Ananta. Interesting. Each scar on his body is a testament to the battles he's fought. The killing intent radiating from beneath his skin was far more formidable than anyone she'd encountered. The manifestation of slaughter. Whitefoot approached Ananta. Everyone, this is Ananta, Rabbit's Foot's strongest asset. A question popped into her head. Is he really the manifestation of vengeance? Ananta used his large hand to push Whitefoot's small head down. His eyes were bloodshot. Since when did I become a commodity you snatched away? Bored with life, are you? Blackfoot, beside him, caressed his arm, coaxing, but didn't Ananta lose to the winged manifestation? I can't fight alone, let's form an alliance. He glared at her, gritting his teeth. Damn it. Blackfoot teased Whitefoot. You look uncomfortable, don't you? Whitefoot, still held down by Ananta, chuckled wryly. I can see that. More importantly, he seems quite unstable, but it seems Ananta's adjustments are complete. Lagertha asked Ananta, will you truly be able to kill the winged manifestation? Before Ananta could answer, Whitefoot spoke, cutting him off. Your Highness, as I said. Lagertha's face darkened, her voice deepening. Whitefoot, I'm asking Ananta. She looked at Ananta. Your origins are irrelevant. There's still a place for you, but I want to see your strength and abilities firsthand. What matters is your infinite rage against the winged manifestation. Ananta looked at her and asked, what's your name? She met his gaze and replied, Lagertha. He lifted his hand from Whitefoot's head, clenching it into a fist and raising it before him. You ask if I can kill the winged manifestation. I have a curse that steals the abilities of others. The more monsters I devour, the stronger I become. That's why my power is infinite. If you want an alliance, behave yourselves, you brats. Lagertha didn't show any anger at his words. Instead, she laughed. Excitedly, she walked towards him. In the name of the Queen, I declare. Leviathan will join forces with you, the embodiment of vengeance. She turned to order Scald and Mare to bring Nadia here. Elsewhere. Behiran opened the door and entered. Ziz stood beside the corpse of the beast. He let out a monstrous laugh. Blood splattered everywhere, from his face to his limbs and clothes. Guio, wearing a coat adorned with wings, smirked. This is merely a celebration for our third member. Behiran knelt, bowing his head. As you commanded, my lord, everyone is present. Guio ordered, open the door for me. Behiran immediately used the move to stun the surroundings. Sharp ice blocks appear. An extremely dark place appeared before them. Beasts were roaring madly. Guio looked down from above at a place that looked like an abyss. It was full of screaming beasts. His eyes and voice were both icy cold. Don't forget. You have all been abandoned by the Lord. Possessed by evil spirits, you have lost your humanity. There's no way for you to return to your original forms. Wake up. Suddenly, he spread his brilliantly shining wings and shouted, O you deluded fools, you who are scorned by the world, and you who are unjustly tormented. Is this death a worthy end for your sacrifices? Is this truly the meaning of your existence? He plunged downwards, standing amidst the beasts. I am not of this world, but one who transforms the suffering here into a bridge leading to the Lord's realm. Show me your strength. Those who endure to the end will receive the grace of the wings. The monsters understood his words. They became crazy and tore at each other. A horrific scene unfolded, with blood splattered everywhere. He remained there, unmoved by fear, letting out a monstrous laugh. On Lagertha's side, Nadia was brought. Her eyes widened as she looked at Ananta, who was with Whitefoot. Whitefoot raised his hat and smiled brightly to greet young Miss Nadia. It's been a while since we last met. She looked at Blackfoot and asked, who is that? Lagertha reassured her, don't be tense, I've ordered the other commanders to withdraw so you can relax. Nadia glanced at Ananta, pondering, he was clearly unstable just now. Just a coincidence. Lagertha continued, I just had a conversation with Ananta there. I hereby declare that both of you are officially members of Leviathan. Ananta frowned, displeased. When did I say I'd join forces with you? Bernhard quickly persuaded him, it's just a temporary alliance, it's alright. We need your strength to capture the embodiment of the wings, and since it's a temporary alliance, you can also use our help, isn't that convenient? As for Nadia, if you want answers, you must cooperate with Leviathan. From this moment on, the road ahead will not be easy, I only hope you're ready to accept the answers you've been searching for. Nadia's gaze was resolute, I've made my intentions very clear. Please tell me about the branch embedded deep within my body. Lagertha spoke, Mistiltine. It also has another name, a branch of the world tree. Bernhard's report says so. During the battle at cafes, you must have witnessed how a brutal creature transformed into a god. Nadia immediately thought of Ziz, that kid. Lagertha continued, the true nature of the branch, blessed by the wings, is often a catalyst for the evolution of a malicious creature into a god. Bernhard continued that she was also influenced by Guio, so the person who transformed into a god was the one who was born with the blood of the winged incarnation. Her current form is the result of the power of the tree branch. Maybe her original form was some kind of demon, perhaps her face turned pale and faltered. No, that can't be right. If the winged manifestation truly possesses power comparable to the Supreme Being, why use it on a devil instead of a god? The branch also has the power to transform a god into a devil. Lagertha frowned, explaining to Nadia while recalling her childhood. I witnessed with my own eyes the day my homeland, Valkyria, turned to dust. Valkyria's god was transformed into a devil by the winged manifestation. Ananta, still with his grumpy face and unpleasant attitude, spoke in a grating voice, from what you've said, that girl is probably a follower of Guio or some other evil spirit. No matter how you look at it, she's just a fool who can't even kill a bug. Bernhard said to him, that's why she's so special, she's probably the being closest to the world's cloud layer that Guio is seeking. He widened his eyes and asked, the world's cloud layer. Lagertha replied, that's right, our royal lineage has many legends about the branch. The world's cloud layer is the dimensional rift that appeared simultaneously with the birth of the world tree. The winged manifestation always desperately wants to invade the Supreme Being's world through that rift. That's why Guio is always trying to create a being capable of becoming a sapling for the world tree. However, the branch's power is too great, ordinary beings can hardly withstand it. Very few can possess that power. This is the key point. We are here to find the branch in Guio's possession. With your help, we will subdue the royal guards who have been transformed into devils. Lagertha rose from her queen's throne, gathered everyone, and declared, present here are Commander Owl, 3 stars. Commander Rupa, 4 stars. I order both commanders to proceed to the land of Pasa. The soldiers below raised their fists in unison, shouting, understood. She stood, placing her hands on her sword, which was planted firmly in the ground. She looked extremely dignified, her voice firm and resolute. In the name of the vanguard, establish a forward base in that area. Our objective is to drive out the evil spirits that have seized the land of Pasa. May your battles be successful. 3 days ago, Whitefoot was talking with Nadia. This is Valkyria's secret fortress in the north of the continent. Here, 500 elite soldiers under the Queen's command, and a small number of mercenaries under Bernhard's orders, protect thousands of citizens who can live peacefully. Those commanders possess godlike power. Leviathan can be considered the strongest resistance organization against the winged manifestation. Ananta's defeat at cafes strengthens our side. Nadia replied, from Leviathan's contact to the meeting with the Queen, it seems they are all part of their plot. Whitefoot continued, yes, but Nadia's failure to escape was unexpected. Regardless, we have gained a powerful ally. Ananta's power is a double-edged sword. It grants him demonic power, but if he doesn't immediately receive that power, he'll lose his sanity and become a monster. They looked at Ananta and Blackfoot, who were sitting nearby. Nadia asked, but who is she? Whitefoot replied, this is Blackfoot, she's a member of the Rabbit's Foot organization, just like me. She has hypnotic powers to suppress Ananta's rage, but it's only temporary. Quickly hunting and killing devils to extinguish the curse is essential. Now that we're here, Nadia, would you like to make a pact with us? Nadia, surprised and slightly doubtful, asked, what kind of pact? Whitefoot smiled warmly, extending his hand, help Ananta subdue the winged manifestation, and in return, Rabbit's Foot promises to ensure your safety, Lady Nadia. Nadia possesses a branch that can attract the winged manifestation. Then, he'll surely reveal his true form to Nadia. Nadia responded frankly, I don't agree. I just want no one else to become a living sacrifice. I don't want to just stand by and watch, so there's no need for any exchange. She extended her hand, protecting the innocent from being sacrificed to Guio. Whitefoot, I'll cooperate with you. Whitefoot scratched his head and chuckled awkwardly, this isn't exactly a pact. But he shook Nadia's hand, good, negotiations are complete. Whitefoot stood up and excitedly said, now I will tell you the upcoming plan. Queen Lagertha will use Ananta's power to take back Valkyria's ancient capital. They are probably preparing to take back Folkwang. A cursed land, littered with corpses, the ruler of that land, Pasa, is. Nadia immediately said, the embodiment of the sacred alicorn. Whitefoot replied, he is the one-horned celestial horse, one of the 6 primordial spirits, and a minion of the god who protects Valkyria. According to the queen, the alicorn turned into a devil shortly after encountering the embodiment of the wings. Ananta's voice rang out, concisely, revenge, the monster that ravaged a nation, simple enough, even a fool would understand. Ananta approached the two, clenching his fists as if ready to kill, bring me to the next hunting ground, you garbage-collecting messenger. Whitefoot, I'm helpless against him, why are you so impatient? The expedition will last 3 days, the alliance consists of 2 Leviathan commanders and a total of 100 soldiers. Whitefoot opened a black hole. Folkwang's coordinates have been identified, go whenever you want. Owl stepped out, hands on hips, glancing at the girls, not bad, ladies. Rupa clenched her fists, her spirit blazing, don't die, everyone, it's too early to go to Valhalla. Ananta was drenched in sweat, breathing heavily. Blackfoot sneered, feeling nauseous, Ananta. Ananta's eyes blazed with killing intent. Of course, I can easily kill anyone right now. A dark place appeared, the atmosphere gloomy and cold, the trees were bare, only trunks and branches remaining. Owl and Rupa ran to the edge of the black hole. Rupa suddenly noticed something and yelled, Owl, below. Owl looked down and saw a ferocious beast opening its mouth towards them. Nadia followed closely and quickly transformed. The branches twisted into the shape of a horse. It confronted the beast, but the beast was too strong. It immediately crushed Nadia's branch horse beneath it. Ananta appeared. He used his enormous arm to punch the beast directly in the head. Owl and Rupa watched the entire event. Owl smirked, this mission is more interesting than I thought. All the soldiers have also arrived. Ananta sat leaning against a tree. Blackfoot stood beside him, looked at his watch, then closed it and observed his surroundings. This place is so dark, not even a single ray of light can penetrate. Inside the fortress, Lagertha stood with her hands on a table holding a map. Now, I will explain the upcoming expedition of Squads 3 and 4. Folkwang includes the nearby northern coastline, mostly covered in grasslands, as it's the habitat of fish and the spirit tribes. Before, with their help, Valkyria could easily withstand invasions. But now, we can only watch those death-dealing troops spread suffering everywhere. Building a strong fortress is our top priority. You two will lead the vanguard and establish the front line. Owl asked, do we absolutely need to build a fortress? Why don't we just use Whitefoot's power, the rabbit's embodiment? Any flaws in the plan will be Whitefoot's fault, Lagertha replied. If we could use the royal road directly, that would be ideal. But Whitefoot's ability can only take us from our starting point to the safest place. Currently, the vanguard can only reach the forest south of the royal road. Without preparation, going further is impossible. This also means someone must risk going thousands of kilometers away from the royal road to ensure safety. To prepare for this, Ananta and Nadia must join the alliance. Rupa reassured her, don't worry, Lagertha, Owl and I are enough. Lagertha seemed to ignore Rupa's words, her face still extremely tense. Commander Rupa, this is the Queen's order. After receiving the order, meet with Ananta's group at headquarters in 1 week. And, don't die, return safely to reunite with your brothers in arms. At Ananta's place, Nadia looked down at Ruby crawling on the ground, thanks to Ruby. Ruby walked forward and opened her mouth to breathe fire. A great fire burned the beast. Rupa looked towards Ananta. Ananta was leaning against a tree, his head bowed, while Blackfoot sat crouched, his hands raised, looking at Rupa and clicking his tongue in displeasure. Owl, seeing this, handed her a piece of paper. What's with the sour face? Rupa's going in calmly, we're almost in the forest anyway. From now on, we're comrades fighting together. Rupa's blunt reply was jarring. Comrades is a phrase used to mock those who are left behind, someone who is willing to put their life on the line at all times and in everything. That nameless thing is my true comrade, don't try to be my comrade. Rupa strode towards Ananta, speaking loudly and frankly to confront him. So, some people are only brave for a moment, huh? I didn't expect you to be so much weaker than I imagined. How is it that someone as helpless as you, who needs a protector, is our ally? Ananta frowned. Just say what you want. Rupa continued without hesitation. Lagartha seems very interested in your abilities, but I don't share her opinion. You still can't control your own power, even if you defeated a god before. Can you control yourself in a rage? Nadia approached, carrying Ruby, surprised. Really, what happened? Rupa replied to Nadia. He looked like a bomb about to explode. Ananta could no longer hold back. He stood up, approached Rupa, and said loudly, I told you, just say what you want. Rupa was on the verge of losing it. I want you to shut your yap, you pathetic excuse for a human. You and your pathetic crew, get out of my sight. I'll let Lagartha know you ran away in fear. She bared her claws, her eyes glowing red. If you don't agree, I'll rip you apart right here. Ananta, equally enraged, prepared to transform. His eyes flashed with killing intent. Shut up before I. Blackfoot held out his hand, releasing a fragrant scent. Enough, it's over. Rupa found herself alone, surrounded by the bones of monsters. Then she saw Lagartha. It turned out Blackfoot had used hypnosis to erase Rupa's mind. Ananta, stop, she provoked you, and you want me to stop. Blackfoot continued the hypnosis. Even now, you still want to continue. He snorted. Then, he suddenly widened his eyes. He pushed Blackfoot away. A giant serpent, its mouth open wide, lunged at him and Rupa. The serpent bit down. Its body wrapped around a tree. Oh, looking anxiously at Rupa, turned to order his soldiers, get 10 men here immediately, chase them. A pack of monsters charged towards them. Nadia's tree branch shot from the ground, piercing the monsters. She gripped the branch, shouting, everyone, get ready to fight. They're coming, Ananta. Covering Rupa's mouth, he hid her behind a tree to escape the pursuing serpents. He whispered, keep quiet. Returning to the moment they were swallowed by the serpent. He placed the unconscious Rupa inside the serpent's belly. He used his giant arm to punch a hole through the serpent to escape. The serpent's eyes widened. In pain, it roared and collapsed. He hugged Rupa. He laid her down. After a while, she woke up. He sat leaning against a nearby tree. You're awake. You're lucky. Still confused, she yelled at him, what's your attitude? She looked down at her chest and suddenly realized that due to the fight, the shirt covering her chest had been torn more or less. She blushed shyly and covered her chest with her hand. He explained to her so she could understand that she had forgotten that she had been swallowed by the snake and was now trying to find a way out. Her face relaxed, her eyes wavering slightly. This guy, could it be that he really protected me? Ananta raised his hand, looking at it thoughtfully. Energy regeneration is too slow, it'll take at least a while before I can move again. He said to her, this place is a bit polluted, isn't it? Makes sense, it's near the acid solution. Rupa stood up, flustered, we were swallowed here, and you're still so calm. How long has it been, my teammates? Ananta glanced behind him. He suddenly pulled Rupa. Sitting close to him, she was pulled unexpectedly and asked in bewilderment, what's wrong, what are you doing? He covered her mouth with his hand. Shut up. Ananta looked around. All around were giant pythons searching for them. We're surrounded. Is this the snake's territory? More importantly, why do I feel so uneasy? Are they demons? No. Or maybe gods? Rupa pulled Ananta's hand from her mouth and whispered, are you going to fight them? He carefully observed the pythons and replied, not quite. Currently, I can't fully control the curse. Without the black foot, using full force will easily lead to reckless rage. But I don't want them to devour us yet. Now, there are 2 options. 1 is to take the hit and fight them. 2 is to avoid fighting and return to the alliance. Your choice, Rupa immediately continued. The 3rd is to break through the siege and follow the original route out of the forest. Just sniff and you'll see. There are countless snakes around us looking for prey. if we rush out now, we will be at a dead end. Even if we return with reinforcements, it will only lead to unnecessary losses. I hear that, so I wonder if there is a better way. Her face flushed slightly, a little unwillingly. I don't like this, but get on my back. She knelt down so he could climb onto her back. He didn't understand what she was doing and stood there dumbfounded. What do you want to do? She didn't bother explaining to him, just saying, don't ask, just do it. Her eyes flashed crimson like a predator preparing to hunt. Hold on tight, don't fall. She transformed into a wolf, carrying him on her back, running at an incredibly fast speed. The pythons, noticing the commotion, roared in unison. She darted past, biting into one, severing its body in two, blood spraying everywhere. She continued to run swiftly forward. The pythons pursued closely behind. Ananta shouted, we're almost shaking them off. Rupa also shouted, we're almost out of the forest, let's push a little harder. She thought of her comrades fighting, this would lessen their danger somewhat. I thought I was about to leave the forest, but I didn't. She suddenly realized there was something ahead, but there was already someone there. His pupils dilated. He looked at the image on the old man's shirt ahead. It was an old man wearing glasses is on the left. His right eye looks venomous like a snake's eye. He's reading a book with his legs crossed and sitting on the body of a giant python. I'm sorry, but no one is allowed to leave here. As he finished speaking, a group of pythons emerged from the ground. Opened his mouth wide towards Ananta and Rupa. Ananta broke into a sweat, his face showing worry. Too fast, can we avoid them? Rupa suddenly grabbed his arm and threw him away. And she was bitten by the pythons. She cried out in pain. Ananta quickly rushed forward and punched the pythons. Rupa transformed back into a human. Her face was pale, her voice weak. You owe me now. After saying that, she fainted. Ananta reached out to catch her. The old man closed his book, his tone mocking. Want to protect your companion, useless. Ananta was extremely indignant. His strength boiled out and he held Rupa in his arms and gritted his teeth, saying, do you want to be punched to death? The giant python opened its mouth and roared in fear. The owl on this side has withdrawn into a waiting stance. As soon as the horse jumped up and rushed at the owl, a sword pierced its body from the front of the chest. A single strike brought the centaur crashing down, sending its soul to the ancestors. Despite killing the monster, Owl showed no joy, instead revealing a worried expression. Only when Nadia, staff in hand, approached and saw the fallen centaur did she exhale in relief. It seems our side suffered minimal casualties. Owl, from behind, with a sour face like someone who just saw an X, approached Nadia. Owl felt something was amiss. Judging by their attack, these monsters weren't targeting us. On the contrary, they seemed to be trying to escape a predator. Owl recalled the horrifying scene earlier, which reminded them of the giant serpent that swallowed two people before. As the tension thickened, Blackfoot appeared from nowhere, approaching Owl and Nadia. She sharply reminded them to stop gossiping. The two froze for several seconds. She seemed to imply they were the ones who needed to be disciplined. Then, she stated their mission: find Ananta as quickly as possible. Before things become a complete mess, even she can't handle. Elsewhere, in the quiet night, something hurtled towards the ground. On closer inspection, it was Ananta carrying Rupa. Both were severely injured. With a weak breath, Rupa told Ananta it was useless. It was a powerful toxin from her clone. Even evil spirits would die instantly. A voice echoed, without immediate treatment, the clone would die. In the distance stood an old man, his long white hair cascading down his head like a British ghost. The sight was almost painful to look at. The style, the huge black creature behind him. You wouldn't believe it, with such a dramatic entrance, you'd think a showdown would ensue, but after ages, there was no response from Ananta. Ananta set Rupa down. I'll be back after I flay that old man alive. Rupa, her eyes filled with worry, screamed at Ananta to stop, but it was futile. He approached the old man, his body transformed into a majestic, shattered lizard, radiating killing intent. Ananta reassured Rupa he would kill the old devil and bring her to Blackfoot. The old man, observing from afar, muttered, the savage nature is ingrained in his very being. That must be the one from Behiran's report. Then, he stepped forward, arms outstretched, summoning his beast, Izan, the embodiment of blind faith, he said. With that, the black snakes lunged toward Ananta. But a second later, the shattered remains of the snakes flew everywhere. All that remained was the lizard's fury. The old man remained calm, observing its movements. As it attacked, the old man's true form, a huge black beast, appeared, but the lizard was too fast. It wounded the beast's tail and charged. Thinking it would be an easy victory, it hadn't accounted for the old man's experience. Ananta was trapped, only one more hit would reach the old man. Immediately, the resurrected snakes bound its body. The old man chuckled triumphantly. He, speed, power, precision, all perfect. But still not enough to beat me. Old age is proportional to self-admiration. Rupa struggled to crawl towards the battle. A few steps later, someone blocked her. Lagertha. Rupa wondered why she'd risk her life for another. Lagertha cheerfully replied, "Comrades are people we can trust with our lives, anytime, and if it's you, Rupa, I'd gladly trade mine." Rupa's eyes welled up, she felt useless. With the situation as it was, Rupa couldn't return Lagertha's sentiment. "I'm afraid I can't keep my promise to Lagertha this time." Entering the battle, Izan raised his hand to attack. When, in an instant, his hand was severed. He stared in shock, his hand fell beside the ferocious wolf. It was consumed by battle rage. Meanwhile, the green snake was confused, it hadn't even seen what happened, what was going on. But that didn't matter anymore, the battle was upon it. It was too late. A dark shadow lunged, tearing it apart with its claws. Its body was nothing but wounds and oozing fluids. The other wolf showed off his arrogant face, which is the privilege of the strong that losers cannot do. The defeated man continued to howl. Seeing this, Ananta approached and taunted, "Come on, act like a monster." Truly a merchant's corpse, body and spirit both tortured. The Izan tried to roar, but it only resulted in a pathetic meow-like sound, effort, but insignificant. Even the mistletoe, the world tree branch, had shattered. In the dark night, the silver-haired old man, atop his mount, shot towards the heavens. He looked pathetic, covered in blood, his injuries severe, his gaze was intense, self-reproachful. The mission to repel the invaders had failed. Seeing him like this was pitiful, but also deserved. Who told him to be so arrogant in his old age? By some supernatural power, the green snake returned, stronger than before. It taunted the monster, "Where's that ferocious attitude? Looks like your threats were all empty words." The lizard's thoughts raced, it was wrong, it couldn't control the curse anymore. To let the curse consume its malice was suicide. If it couldn't completely subdue its enemy, the curse's power would overwhelm everything. It looked at Rupa with pain. If it didn't want Rupa's interference, it had to find a way. Rupa continued to claw and tear at the enemy, only darkness and blood remain. Rupa acted first. The rest is up to Ananta. With those words, Rupa's body fell to the ground. Now, all hope rested on Ananta. Ananta roared wildly, power surging through every fiber of his being. It was as if he wanted to devour the inextinguishable flame, but it wasn't enough. Ananta looked up at the old man, soaring high above. His roar shook the very heavens. He had to be stronger. It all had to end, and that thing up there should die. Ananta launched himself into the air to fight. He swore to devour everything. Below, Rupa lay exhausted. High above, the old man's gaze remained fixed. Ananta's eyes burned with hatred. He remembered Rupa's words, "The rest is up to you." It fueled the fire within him. The scene shifts to inside the forest. Two guards stand watch. Inside, people are gathered. Something has happened. Rupa slowly opened her eyes. A hazy image of Nadia filled her vision. Seeing her awake, everyone rejoiced. Rupa looked around in confusion. "Where am I?" She sat up, feeling pain throughout her body. Nadia anxiously told her she was still injured. "Don't push yourself, take the antidote, any delay and it'll be too late. It's lucky Ananta brought you back, otherwise, things would have been much worse." Hearing this, Rupa panicked. "That idiot, how is he?" Nadia beside her jumped, "They're really a pair." Before she could answer, Ananta's voice echoed, "Instead of gratitude, she calls me an idiot." Owl, behind them, teased, "Are you two bickering again?" Rupa frowned at Ananta, "How's your body?" Ananta coldly retorted, "Mind your own business, worry about yourself first, don't think about foolish things, I don't want any more favors from you." Rupa fell silent. He's injured and almost dead, yet he can't even say a kind word. What a grump. Nadia had just opened her mouth. Only to be called a fool by Rupa, and fell silent. Truly a perfect match. Owl told everyone, "Rupa will recover soon, her healing ability is incredible." He bowed deeply, thanking Ananta on behalf of his team. Ananta merely grunted. Nadia asked, "Did you fight someone under Guio's orders?" Ananta frowned and answered in frustration that it was an old man named Izan. He possessed the power to summon snakes from his own shadow. But the snakes are lifeless clones, so they can only perform a few simple actions. Remembering the scene at that time, there were no corpses around. They seemed to want to chase away the invaders rather than take their lives. According to Ananta's guess, they most likely captured those who wanted to go to the Pasa territory, and then it seemed they were ordered to immediately return to their owners. Nadia still couldn't understand what their purpose was. Ananta lowered his head and shook it. He didn't know either, but he clearly felt the branch had begun to take root in his body. Blackfoot beside him laughed, replying, "Exactly, lately, Ananta's curse has stabilized remarkably. Just one bottle of herbal medicine had such an effect." As she spoke, she moved closer and hugged Ananta. Ananta's expression was one of fright. He really didn't know what was going on. She teased Ananta, saying, "I wonder what you'll look like if you absorb the whole branch." Nadia, on the other hand, looked unhappy. Ananta pushed her aside, his eyes irritated. And what was that about the seed of Sephiroth being the embodiment of naivete? Upon mentioning Sephiroth, Owl also wondered what it was. According to Ananta, Sephiroth were elite individuals chosen to protect the embodiment of wings. It was a title given to the 10 strongest individuals, granted power from the branch. And the top warriors, known as his 5 disciples, were responsible for keeping an eye on the others. Izan's appearance proved that one of Guio's 5 disciples would also appear. The power of the top disciples in Seos could be described as causing tremors with a slight movement. Izan seemed to be returning to his hideout. Standing before him was someone, who then yelled, "You look like a frightened animal, what's left of your dignity?" The old man replied in a low voice, "It seems I can't escape you, embodiment of conquest." The other asked, "What is your mission?" Izan, sweating profusely, replied that his mission was to prevent anyone from approaching Pasa, and to eliminate anyone who interfered. Second Sephiroth, Gaian, embodiment of dominion, he was quite impressive during the battle, even a bit self-absorbed, but now, before Gaian, he was curled up and obedient like a puppy. After hearing him, Gaian's face tightened. He told the old man to lead the way so he could deal with them properly. Having said that, the two turned and left. As they had just taken a few steps, 2 strangers appeared before them. One of them raised his hand to stop Gaian, saying, "Embodiment of dominion, don't act rashly." Gaian gave him a deadly glare. Then, contemptuously, "You tell me to stand still. Do you know who I am? You're nothing but low-class trash." Both sides exchanged fierce glances, as if anyone who dared to make a move would be immediately attacked. The most powerful one, seeing the conflict, sarcastically said, "Gaian, you seem full of energy. Listen to my request." Hearing this, everyone bowed, ready to receive orders. Yes, embodiment of wings. Even the arrogant Gaian was no longer defiant. He clasped his hands, bowed his head, and sighed, "It's difficult to disobey your orders, embodiment of wings." Guio said there was news about the queen from spies in Leviathan. They were organizing an expedition force to go to the land of Pasa. Gaian began to mutter doubtfully, "Is that really her goal?" Guio didn't know either. He guessed she might be following old trails he'd left behind. He added, echoing the Rose Knight's words, "A futile effort, trying to use that flawed creation from the branch to seize other branches." Izan bowed and pleaded, "Please, Guio, give me this task. I will personally eliminate those insignificant humans." The other frowned and asked Izan if he remembered Balzac. Izan, slightly confused, asked, "Do you mean the one who was 10th in the origin?" "Correct, a human cursed by the black dragon Azi Dahaka, and the one who defeated Balzac. He's currently in Leviathan. He's a formidable character who has faced both him and the embodiment of wings, yet survived. His appearance beside the embodiment of conquest is a warning that there's still hope." Gaian curiously asked for his name, but his curious expression looked somewhat perverted. The answer was precisely 3 words, Ananta. Izan, his heart full of resentment, spoke of Gaian, "He is the embodiment of dominion. And also the strongest spear, Behiran, the strongest shield, an unparalleled pair. No wonder they are among the strongest Sephiroth and formidable opponents. Because this man has never shown any loyalty to Guio. Yet he was given the 4th or 5th position, that's already enough, but why would Guio give him this mission?" Lost in thought, he was called, "Izan, do you know what this is?" Startled, He looked at the object in Gayen's hand and replied, "That's a flawed branch, inlaid in a crocodile's heart." Gayen said that compared to what was in their bodies, that branch was just an inferior substance. But wouldn't that be better if they had almost completed the orders given by Guio, and then the response to Izen's words was Gayen's cold action. He tossed the branch into a deep hole. Izen, enraged, shouted, "What are you doing?" Gayen ignored him. He even laughed heartily, giving the old man a loving look. "I told you, I said I'd do it, and I did. I'll conquer them myself, that's right." Gayen left, leaving Izen deep in thought. Gahab muttered under his breath, "That devil who rules the three lands, with his invincible army of demons, what do you think the outcome will be?" Izen was scared speechless by this reckless young man. He stammered, unable to form a complete sentence. Gayen was holding something, examining it thoughtfully. Already got a new toy to admire, the strongest spear and the embodiment of the wings. If he survives a fight against them, it would be a miracle. The cold CEO, Gayen, resolved to prepare a worthy battleground for Ananta. I don't know if our protagonist can hear him, but Gayen's heart was set on him, urging him to come soon. A week passed, everyone stood before their new home, preparations were complete. Lagertha and her guards emerged from inside. Rupa excitedly greeted Lagertha's arrival. Lagertha cheerfully approached everyone. "It's good that the vanguard is safe." Ananta and Nadia had also done well, but they didn't seem very happy. Lagertha then turned to Skald and Mare. "I'm sure no one's missing, right?" Mare replied, "All 50 of the Queen's guards are present." Ananta asked Lagertha, "How does it feel to be back on this devastated homeland?" Lagertha's smile faded. She silently turned and looked into the distance. Lagertha, lost in thought, was about to speak. Before she could, Whitefoot interrupted, "Based on the previous reports, you already know the situation, right? A week ago, a beam of light appeared from the direction of the royal capital. Perhaps it's another source of the branch's power. The sixth Sephiroth has appeared, along with another manifestation of the branch's power. It's as if everything was planned. The current situation far exceeds previous predictions. Even if she wanted to use my power in an emergency, it would take at least 3 days to arrive. Would she still want to continue?" Lagertha fell silent again. Then, she spoke loudly, "My brothers and sisters. This is our homeland, where we were born and raised. But it was taken from us by the embodiment of wings, and we were forced to leave. Years ago, I swore to my fallen comrades that one day, I would return and restore Valkyria for my people, who suffered in this ravaged land. Then, I will shout before the spirits of my fallen countrymen that their sacrifices were not in vain. It is thanks to their sweat and tears that we are here." Her voice grew louder. "My brave and unwavering comrades, fight alongside me until the end." Everyone shouted in unison, "Long live Her Majesty, the Queen." The scene was truly moving. Even Ananta's face showed determination. The order was given, "Forward to the capital, let's attack together." The expeditionary force moved according to the predetermined plan. Night fell. At the camp, Blackfoot was talking to Whitefoot. An order came down, those not participating in the battle would wait here. Blackfoot looked gloomy. Although she wasn't fighting, she wanted to watch Ananta from the sidelines. Sitting here felt no different from a guard dog. Her sister, understanding, teased, "Oh, so someone sad about not being able to join the expedition." Whitefoot understood her sister's feelings and consoled her. "Ananta's rage is more stable now, you don't have to worry or go to the front lines. Whatever the outcome of this expedition, your abilities are still crucial to saving everyone and the Queen. We need absolute protection, or rather, surveillance. Looking at how they protect us, it seems we don't have much trust from them." Blackfoot didn't understand how her sister could say that when they hadn't done anything to them. Moreover, the success or failure of the Queen's expedition is still unknown. Whitefoot smiled enigmatically. "The outcome of this expedition has nothing to do with us. It doesn't matter, the main thing is Ananta. She wants Ananta to become stronger even if she has to destroy everyone." From space, an arrow was rushing at the speed of light towards the black snake. The arrow struck its head. It screamed in pain. Then, in a dream, she and her comrades had successively cleared out the inhuman black serpents, but they appeared in even greater numbers, all heading towards their army. Lagertha shouted and commanded everyone to continue charging at the enemy who was focusing their attack on the right flank of the concentrated army. All of them combined with the protection barrier to form a large shield to block those black snakes. Ananta was in dire straits and had to call Ruby. Let's wipe them out and take orders from the little LN to jump in front of the barrier. It opened its mouth, spewing a torrent of raging fire as if to incinerate everything. Ananta observed from behind. For a moment, she thought she didn't necessarily need to intervene. Nadia's side also fought extremely fiercely. The old blacks that rushed in were all pierced by her and the tree stumps, successfully leading the entire army to break the enemy's siege. This was a desperate tactic. The slightest mistake would lead to our annihilation. Look at the female generals fighting. Ananta wondered if they had enough confidence to fight. Man, this battle was already very difficult. And these are women, the embodiment of naivete, according to intelligence, facing an army that has undergone countless training sessions. There's no reason for them to fail. But our army had reached the very edge of Pass's heart, yet still no sign of the Alicorn army or the demonic creatures. Suddenly, Mare shouted, startling Lagertha. She announced that they were approaching the Vigrid watchtower. Welcoming Lagertha's army was none other than the old man Izan. He smiled savagely and looked down, welcoming those who dared to deny the embodiment of wings. Let me keep an eye out to see how miserable your outcome will be. Then, with lightning speed, he caught the ambush arrow. But Skald, in a moment's thought, decided against continuing the assassination. Now wasn't the time to talk about the end. His face hardened, revealing his determination. Soon, you will witness the wrath of this old man. Then he called out his true body. It also carried with it something that looked extremely scary. Even Lagertha's face paled upon seeing it. Sensing the danger, she quickly ordered everyone to maintain their defensive formation. Immediately afterward, Izan dropped it into the midst of Lagertha's army. After landing, the slime. Then it rose to form the barbaric alicorns. Even so, his mouth kept stammering something that wasn't even human. Lagertha panicked and quickly ordered a retreat to save lives. The alicorns were merging into one. That slime quickly abducted all of Lagertha's troops. Mare on this side also fought hard. And tell people not to touch them. The slime writhed and churned together. The first horn formed, piercing the sky, stacked with terrifying demonic eyes. Next was its head, indescribably ugly, with sharp fangs, more than 4 layers stacked and jutting out. The lower body is also starting to form. Its mucus shoots out and splashes towards Lag Izan's army above, telling himself, "Old man, I will not underestimate you." Then ordered the aloe to fight and show them what great strength was. With those words, it charged like a moth to a flame. As soon as I got up, I had an encounter with Ananta. Added Owl's Claws of Ferocity combo. Rupa also charged with the Seal of Sacred Blood. Facing the relentless attack, the Alicorn struggled. Next is the appearance of Lagertha. Don't worry Alicorn, in the name of being their ally. I will personally finish you off.